Hey there, welcome to Healthy-ish, the big sister podcast to the one called Healthy-ish. This podcast, actually both podcasts, are from Body+Soul and are designed to give you that little bit extra in your day for your mind, body and soul. I'm your host, Felicity Harley. Ironman champion and athletic sport ambassador Matt Poole joins me today from the Goldie via Zoom. Actually, he's much more than a champ. He is a veteran because at 32 years old, he is actually one of the oldest competitors in the Nutri-Grain series. He's been in it for 15 years, so he knows what it takes to train and win. And he's going to share his insights, his secrets, his learnings from his 15-year career about what it takes to succeed in, well, fitness and his sport. Matt, thank you so much for coming on Extra Healthy-ish. Now, I ask this for everyone who comes on this podcast. How do you stay extra healthy-ish in your life, apart from all your training? Give me something else.
Something diet, nutrition.
Yeah.
Look, how do I stay healthy? I mean, like I sort of touched on earlier, I guess the more good fuel and food that you're putting into your body is going to allow you to sort of perform. It's the same sort of, I guess, formula as F1 cars. You know, they've got the premium best of the best fuel going in the car to get the most out of its performance. It's the same as an athlete, you know. So because we do so much training, it is just we don't have to necessarily be super clean and healthy in the way it's more calorie intake for us, but I'm always trying to take in lots of good food and nutrition and things like that. So I'm eating clean and healthy, but I'm just trying to do that, 3-4 times a day. So that I'm constantly, got lots of energy.
Now, just quickly, before we go into what your physical training, just for those who didn't listen to Healthy-ish, can you talk us through exactly what's involved in an Ironman/Ironwoman race?
Sure. So in the race, depending on the format or the race, we do different distances and formats. So when we do the Nutri-Grain Ironman series or the Shaw and Partners Summer of Surf series, two different Ironman series, we have the 3 water legs. We have the swim leg, the board leg, which is the paddle board, like the lifeguard boards, racing version of that. And then we also have the surf ski, which is similar to an ocean kayak, but obviously made for going in and out through the surf. So they're the 3 water disciplines. And then we also have a soft sand running transition leg in between each of those water disciplines. So the water legs make up about 80% of the race, or 90% probably, and then 10-20% would be running transition. So it is a quite a unique, different sport in the sense that we are endurance athletes. We can race anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes right through to the Coolangatta Gold Race, which is a 4-hour endurance race.
Wow.
So the legs always stay the same in the sense of swim, board, ski, and run, but obviously the length of that changes depending on the race, the format, things like that. But generally, the Ironman series that is my main focus. Those races go anywhere from sort of 30 minutes to an hour, give or take.
So what sort of training do you do leading into a race? I mean, is it intensive or do you kind of pull back a bit?
Leading into a race, we always have a bit of a taper block. So basically, you want to build our pre-season is winter. So that's when we spend a lot of time doing big kilometres, big volume. That's kind of basically, like you sort of say, that's your money in the bank in winter so that you can spend it in summer. The idea is you want to build a big base fitness through winter, because in summer, when we're racing every weekend or every second weekend, you can't really get in a lot of sort of high quality training weeks. You can get certainly some good sessions in, but you can't do big back-to-back weeks, because the idea is that when you get to the start line for race day, you want to be at 100%. So winter for our pre-season is a lot of just grinding, hard training.
What do you do? What does your week look like in winter to the build-up?
Winter for us is we'll swim 4 mornings a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, and we're in the pool from 5:30 to 7, covering anywhere from 4 to 6 kilometres. During the daytime, we will either have a run or gym session, so give or take. We usually look to try and run 3 to 4 times a week, and then gym will have 2 gym sessions a week. Every afternoon, we're out on either the board or the ski at our surf clubs or out in the ocean, and they go for about an hour, those sessions. So, but the two most important key sessions for us each week is Wednesday morning and Saturday morning, where we do our Ironman sessions. And that's where we tie it all in together. And that's probably the most important sessions of the week. So Wednesday and Saturday. So all up, you're looking at about 10 to 12 training sessions a week, and Sundays are our rest days. So at 33 now, I'm a little bit older. So I certainly have to pick out quality sessions or key sessions in the week versus quantity. I can't get through, say, Monday to Saturday doing every session at 100%. My body just can't sort of take on that workload anymore. But certainly with age comes experience, and now I do get to sort of pick and choose sessions. So a bigger focus for me is recovery, and certainly getting the most out of those key sessions each week that I choose.
That just sounds exhausting when you're telling me the week. I'm like, oh my goodness, that is next level.
Yeah, 15 years I've been doing that professionally now, and probably about 17 or 18 years, that sort of training workload. So it is exhausting. It is very tiring, and certainly it takes its toll on the body. I've got my fair share of injuries now, but, I still love it. I still love what I do. And it's a good lifestyle.
So what drives you? What keeps you going? I mean, you are a veteran, as they call you in the industry, which I think should be taken, positively, of course. That means you've done amazing in your sport. But what keeps you going? I mean, what is it that, like, okay, I'll just do another year on another year?
Yeah, look, motivation and fire is paramount for any athlete, especially, but even anyone who's just health and fitness orientated. I mean, if you're training with no goal or no end goal, it becomes monotonous, boring, and there's no finish line realistically. There's nothing that you're working towards, and it feels like you're not really ticking off any goals or milestones along the way, and that they can be all completely personalized. But for me, goal setting and motivation comes from constantly trying to learn, trying to better myself, and trying to win races. I mean, ultimately, I love winning races. That's just a sort of competitive desire that I've always had. And I've won my fair share of races now, but every time that you do, it just makes you more hungry and more motivated to win another race. And every race is completely different. So I think the biggest thing is that I've just been able to set myself new goals, and that sort of entails or it helps me to sort of re-motivate myself and to change my training differently, turn weaknesses into strengths. And then ultimately, that's where I get my sort of fire and motivation from.
You're like the Tom Brady of the Iron Man, Iron Woman.
I don't know about that, but I'll take that for sure. Tom Brady.
Take it.
He's a great example of somebody who certainly wouldn't be the youngest or fittest out on the field, but hey, he's got something between the ears that when it's
when it matters, it matters.
When it matters most, he can deliver. So that comes with age and experience, I think.
We'll be back after this short break with more from Matt. What about your mental preparation? How do you kind of get your head in the game before a race?
Yeah, look, visualization and music, that's kind of, like I sort of said before, 15 years of ironing out many different pre-race tactics or preparations, things like that allow you to just fine tune and get it to, if I wish I knew what I know now when I was 19 or 20, but that's, part of the tools of the trade is you have to do your time and earn your stripes, so to speak. So nowadays I take definitely a much more sort of relaxed sort of approach response. When you're younger, it was all about sort of hyping yourself up and motivation, and that used to cause me to get maybe more anxious. I got more anxious and nerves, and the nerves would then so I feel like nerves is something that if you don't learn to deal with, they can be very counterproductive versus
helpful,
beneficial. Beneficial. So I actually like to sort of just block out a lot of the distractions and noises. I find that when I can put music in on race day, that allows me to sort of just focus on my breathing process, myself, and the job at hand. I can sort of block out all the other distractions.
I mean, you've had a lot of wins over your 15-year career. What has there been one that sticks out as the most triumphant?
Look, there's probably two very sort of like key wins in my career. The first one was in 2007, 2008 was my first ever Nutri-Grain Ironman Series win. I was 20 years old. Yeah. We were at Coolum Beach. It was round 2, massive surf. And basically I was, second year in the series. I was 20 years old, one of the youngest in the series that year, maybe even the youngest. And you're racing alongside all your idols, all your heroes, guys that you've sort of grown up watching, and they're your heroes. So that in itself is almost a disadvantage for so many people, is like when young kids come into the sport, because they've idolized these kids for so long, they don't put themselves on the same level as them, even if they might already be fitter, faster, or stronger.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing, And I managed to get around the last cans in the lead with a guy called Zane Holmes and Shannon Eckstein, and I managed to pull away and won right at the end. And I can still remember, I've got the photo of that win, but it's so special because it was your first ever win, and that's, I guess, the first sort of real tick of approval where you're like, wow, I can, I'm not just making up the numbers here. I'm actually a contender. I can win races. And then from that, at that stage, winning a race was just seemed like an unachievable dream or just unrealistic goal. Once you sort of win a race, that's what I was sort of touching on before. Then you go, right, what's the next step now, right? I've won a race. Now I want to win a series. And that's how you always need to, I guess, level up and always be saying, right, what's the next big step? I don't want to sort of stay here. I want to keep going upwards. So, that was probably the most special win, I would say. The second most special was maybe 3 years later at Bondi Beach, iconic Australian beach. And we went into one of the hardest formats. Even still today, we haven't done anything like this, where we did a 5-race eliminator. Basically,
oh, wow.
You do an Ironman race, it was 15, 20 minutes in length, and they eliminated the last 3 or 4 competitors. So nowadays, when we do an eliminator format, we only do 3 races. But back on this year, they trialled doing 5, and 5 was just really, really tiring and exhausting, even looking back at
it.
So
5 in one day. So that's 5 kind of 30-minute blocks.
So we would do literally a 20, 25-minute race. We would rest for 4 to 5 minutes, literally the length of an ad break. And then we do the second one, eliminate 3, 4, rest of an ad break, third race, fourth race, and then fifth race being the final. That day, when people talk about Zen state or something like that, I honestly felt tireless. Like I did not fatigue. I won all 5 races that day, 1, 2, 3,
well done.
4. And winning the first 4 in an eliminator format is kind of useless, because it doesn't matter if you can win the first 4, but if you lose the 5th, that's your position, and you just got to win the 5th race. So some people would say it's a waste of energy, sort of, winning the first couple of races. You just want to be there in the last. And I managed to win all 5, and it was just a really sort of special win for me, because I'd had a really bad season the year before that one. I guess there was a lot of sort of doubt about, whether I was going to sort of be able to win a series. I'd won a race, but am I going to be a guy that just wins one race in a career, or do I, so there's a lot of sort of weird questions. And that race was very special, just not just because I won, but it was the way I went about winning.
Do you think that was, when just talking to me, I get a feeling that it was such a mental game obviously you've got to be physically fit, have the endurance and the power and the strength to get through it, but it's next level mindset in that sort of race, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. As I sort of said, it's hard to sort of always be running on cloud 9, sort of that big bravado of like, as an athlete, you can't ever second guess yourself. You do have to have that sort of almost arrogance about how good you are, because it becomes down to a belief. You need to believe in yourself. If you doubt yourself and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not that fit, or I'm not that fast, or he's better than me, or, whatever. Unfortunately, sort of like when you relate it back to the Tom Brady sort of, analogy, it's just like, that's the experience that you need to learn. It's that hardened mental edge where you just believe that you are better than anyone else. And it's not an arrogance. It's more like just a belief, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think it is absolutely a belief rather than an arrogance. You just have to 100% believe that you can do it. Now, how do you switch off from all this? I mean, you train hard. You obviously, nutrition, hydration, that is a big part of your life. What do you do to just chill out?
Look, I mean, nowadays it's definitely a little bit more different. As I said, with Tammy, we got the 2 kids, Wolf and Saskia, and we got a third on the way now. So when I'm not at training, I'm at home with Tammy and the kids, and we're like, it's good to sort of have. I guess we've got 2 very different lifestyles, but it's good to be able to switch off, and that is a good distraction or a healthy distraction now. I know that certainly when I was younger too. My whole life was training and racing, and it does mentally sort of burn you out a little bit more, because it does, when something does become your whole focus in life, it's kind of unhealthy. You need to find a pretty good balance, I think, with all facets of life, whether that be work, relationship, and then just life in itself. So I have a really good balance at the moment, and I think that's sort of like a distraction that can allow me to take myself away from training, away from racing, especially I am having a few injuries or things like that. To be able to take myself outside of that world, it is good.
Yeah, Matt. Well, all the best on your Are we going to see you at another next year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Up in the air at the moment.
Okay.
I'm still waiting to see. I'm going to make an announcement in the next couple of weeks. But look, at the moment, I'm sitting well in the point scores. I'll re-qualify, and I got some news coming soon about next year and my racing. So
okay, watch this space. Matt, thank you so much for coming on Extra Healthy-ish.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
After speaking to Matt, he is really the Tom Brady of the Ironman series, using his wisdom over his 15 years to become better, stronger, faster, just fine-tune his, expertise, I suppose, in his sport. If you want more from Matt, his podcast, Healthy-ish, the short one, is up now. Or if you want more from us, remember we have other episodes of Extra Healthy-ish, lots of wonderful, interesting, intriguing episodes. Download some more, or you can join the conversation via Body & Soul on Instagram or Facebook. Log on to our website as well, bodyandsoul.com.au. Thanks again for tuning in, and if you have a moment, we'd be so grateful if you could rate, review and subscribe to this podcast. And until tomorrow, stay extra healthy-ish.